Breaking tonight, President-elect Donald Trump close to some key decisions about the team that will lead America to its historic comeback. Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro, live in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Thanks for being with us. You can actually see the Capitol building behind me. It's where our country's president-elect toured just 2 days ago on his whirlwind visit here. Tonight, the transition is underway, and we're told Mr. Trump is close to making some major appointments, including who will serve right here in Washington as his chief of staff. The decision is said to be imminent. Trump's transition communications director, Jason Miller, is standing by live to talk about it. But first, my opening statement. At 10:32 a.m. today, I received a phone call from President-elect Donald J. Trump, who has known me since my time as a county judge and elected district attorney. He stated that he looks forward to beginning the process of making America great again, and he thanks Justice and all her viewers for their support. I am honored to have had the privilege to speak with both the president-elect and his beautiful wife, future First Lady Melania, as America embarks on this very special journey. And indeed, it's been one amazing, wild, unpredictable ride. And you've been with me the whole time. Thank you for that. Now, I told you from the beginning to strap in that it would be a revolution. Indeed, it was. Yes, there's an insurrection coming. From the beginning, we knew this would be a political revolution. Be careful, boys. Be very, very careful. You don't want to make this a different kind of revolution. I told you this election was a revolution, but even I didn't know how big it would be. It's worldwide. What happened in England is going to happen again. Next stop, the United States. Next president, Donald J. Trump. And within the first moment of President-elect Donald Trump's victory speech, he showed how elegant he was by congratulating Hillary Clinton.
She congratulated us, it's about us, on our victory. And I congratulated her and her family on a very, very hard-fought campaign. I mean, she fought very hard. Hillary has worked very long and very hard over a long period of time, and we owe her a major debt of gratitude for her service to our country. I mean that very sincerely.
And not surprisingly, he reached out to Mitt Romney and spoke with Jeb Bush and John Kasich, Republicans who worked hard against him, as well as offering to be a president to all, even though those who violently opposed him. And as for the campaign itself, they told you you didn't matter, that if you supported him, you were probably uneducated, small-minded, and irrelevant. You were beneath them. That if you wanted closed borders, a nation state, you weren't Christian enough, not American enough, not big-hearted enough. That if you didn't see racism in every cop who walked the beat, you probably were a racist yourself. That if you used the term Muslim jihadist instead of terrorist, you were an anti-religious bigot. Truth and honesty had no place in their politically correct society. If you opposed sanctuary cities where the protection of illegal criminal immigrants was the law, you were a hateful, bigoted xenophobe. They simply knew better than you. They tried to convince you that Obamacare was great, when all the time your deductible and premiums were skyrocketing, that the economy wasn't that bad, yet you had to work 2 and 3 jobs to just get along. Jobs that shipped overseas didn't matter to them because they were part of the global economy. She even called you deplorable, irredeemable, and not America. If you didn't support her, You probably hated women and were backward. They tried to convince you that a lie wasn't a lie if it came from her mouth. And the media, so corrupt that they shared debate questions with her to give her the edge, tried to beat you down by repeatedly telling you it was useless to even show up at the polls. And even though the President of the United States did his very best on the eve of the election to trash him and mock him as a joke and unfit, bringing out Jay-Z and Springsteen, Beyonce and Gaga, it didn't matter. And in spite of it all, even though we felt forgotten, alone, and beaten down, we all came home. Because this wasn't an election, it was a revolution. We came home to where our forefathers, in their genius, had always planned. Back to America, back to who we are, back to the Constitution. And yes, Mr. Soon-to-be ex-President Obama, we can now proudly cling to guns, our religion, and now our new president-elect, Donald J. Trump. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter. Hashtag Judge Jeanine. And joining me now here in Washington, D.C. is Jason Miller, the communications director and the President-elect Trump's transition team member. All right. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening. What a great time to be alive.
Indeed, indeed.
Fantastic.
Now, we understand that the decision is coming soon as to who will be the President-elect's chief of staff. And we're hearing that Reince Priebus, who's the head of the RNC, as well as Steve Bannon, the campaign CEO, and the CEO of Breitbart are in the running. What can you tell us?
Well, in a perfect dodge, I will go right to the fact that we know whoever the President-elect is going to pick, it will be somebody very good. He has excellent judgment. He surrounds himself with the best people. He knows what the task is at hand, that we need to go forward and implement these campaign promises with repealing and replacing Obamacare, securing our border, and whoever he puts in those top leadership positions will be top-notch people who are ready to lead this country forward.
Now, if it's one or the other, if it's Reince or if it's Steve Bannon, do you think that both of them will end up being in the administration?
Both played critical roles on the campaign, with Chairman Priebus running the RNC and Steve Bannon doing a fantastic job as the campaign CEO. I'd also mention that Kellyanne Conway being the first woman
I was going to get to Kellyanne,
to manage a presidential race, or a successful presidential race. Very historic, and she did a fantastic job. And really, we had a great team all the way top to bottom. Really powerful people who spoke their mind, who knew how to get things done. I think it was a big part of the reason we're able to build the support structure around the president-elect.
But do you think that both Reince and Steve would both be in the White House with the president?
I know the president-elect respects both of their counsels, and I think you'll see he'll continue to respect.
All right, so let's talk about Kellyanne Conway, the first woman to actually run a successful presidential campaign. I mean, the woman had like a Midas touch. She was able to go in there from the summer going forward, and she had a tough job. I mean, she had to communicate. She had to make sure that the president-elect stayed on message, and she did a terrific job. Where is she going to be in this administration? And will she be with the president-elect?
I think she'll be probably wherever she wants to be. I think the president-elect very much respects her counsel and her opinion, not just as a campaign spokesperson, but I think as a sounding board and someone who has a lot of ideas on how to implement this vision. And that's one of the things that, as people start to talk about the untold stories of the campaign, is really how well everybody got along. How everyone was singularly focused on Mr. Trump's vision and what we had to do. And even, I'll tell you this about Kellyanne, even in the toughest days we had on the campaign, never once wavered, never once blinked, always focused, always firmly believed that we were going to get the win. And I can tell you, even behind the scenes, never once faltered. And so, very impressive job by her and really the entire team.
You know, Jason, it was a tough campaign. I mean, you know, between the media and everything coming at you. I mean, even the Pope came after you guys. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And yet there was always this conviction that it was going to happen. And you had a candidate who worked 24/7. I mean, I know the man. I mean, the man he just doesn't tire. There was never a moment when people said, my God, this isn't going to happen?
No. I mean, there was really this firm belief among everyone on the campaign team. It didn't matter if it was Steve Bannon at the top or if it was the folks who were walking precincts, that this was a candidate who was going to win this race. And I think as you saw Mr. Trump on the campaign trail, the tens of thousands, 20,000 that we had in Tampa that would show up for these campaign rallies and these speeches that he would give. And I think that's something that he really didn't get enough credit for on the campaign trail, was how powerful of a speaker he was and the way that there was something going on. And I will tell you, that even all the data that we were looking at, we knew that Pennsylvania, that we had a shot, but we knew it would be tough. The person who most believed that we were going to win Pennsylvania was Donald J. Trump. And he said, guys, you're missing it. There's something big that's going on here. We have to get back over and over. And the way that people would show up to these rallies and just show their enthusiasm, it was, I mean, you know, pick the greatest speakers of all time, whether it's, you know, Winston Churchill or Ronald Reagan. I mean, Donald Trump was right there as far as the motivating figure.
And, you know, I mean, that's almost contrary to what a lot of these pollsters would tell you. They would say, look, you as a candidate thinks everybody's loving you, but, you know, the polls are telling us someone else. But Donald Trump has always been prescient. He's always been a visionary. I mean, he was even prescient about Uma Abedin's husband there, Anthony Weiner, you know, which really, I think, ultimately brought them all down, or Hillary brought herself down, so to speak. But speaking of that, you know, what do you think of Hillary coming out today and saying, you know, FBI Director James Comey is the reason I lost the election? What do you think of that?
Look, Mr. Trump won. We know that. There's no reason to pick a fight with Hillary. But the one thing I'll say that since the election, that Mr. Trump has had a very good tone, I think, coming out of the campaign. I think he's been very focused on what he needs to do. Had a good meeting with the congressional leaders when he was up here on the Hill. We're looking forward, and that's really the approach that he's going to take, because let's be honest, over this past 8 years, the country has grown more divided, not more unified. And I think what you're going to see is with President Trump, after he's sworn in on the 20th, that he is going to be that unifying figure. Are you going to be in the White House, Mr. Miller? That'll be up to the president. All right. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks, Judge. Are you tired? I'm always tired. All right. Thanks so much. And my next guest and I had quite a few battles throughout the campaign season over who we believe would be the next president. Take a look. You're never going to vote for Donald. You're never going to vote for Hillary, but she's going to be your president. We're going to be right back. Coco, I'm bringing you on the week after the election when Donald Trump wins. All right? All right. All right. I'm going to bring me the hanky. I'll be crying. Yeah? You'll be crying? I'll be crying. I'll be laughing. I'll be crying and drunk. Liberal radio show host Coco Sudek joins me now. All right, Coco, you said you'd be crying and drunk. Are you drunk? I am not drunk. I am hungover. My crying comes in fits and starts. Judge, let me tell you, I know how you feel. I felt that way in 2008. I felt that way in 2012. And I felt the way I feel today in 2004. And I do not want to rain on your parade. I want you to celebrate in this feeling because I know it feels good. Oh, that's very nice of you, Coco. And you know what? I'm not going to rain on your tears either. But what I am going to ask you, Coco, is you were totally convinced that the woman, I mean, that there was no way that she was going to lose. Why do you think she lost? I think she didn't inspire enough people. Look, I don't actually think Donald Trump won this election as much as I think Hillary Clinton lost it. And I want to be really candid. I do think she is an honorable person. And I know that you don't believe it. I do. But I also think that she
She didn't inspire the people that Obama inspired. I think her campaign had a very, very bad strategy. I think she was very short-sighted. And I will tell you that I think my party,
Tell me what the strategy was.
Hang on. I got to say this. I think that my party, the Democratic Party, has failed in its mission over the last 25 years to be the party of the common man, to be the party that really stands up for the working man. And that is a function
now,
as
back
much
to my question.
of the
What was the
Clintons
strategy?
as anything else.
Back up. Coco, back up. What was her strategy? Her strategy was to trash Donald Trump. She didn't have a strategy.
And that was a terrible strategy because it didn't do enough about her. But look, I want to say something else.
There was nothing to say about her because she didn't have any accomplishments. No. Coco, we're going to have a nice chat tonight. I don't want to fight with you tonight.
Judge, I don't want to fight either. I want to say something, and I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart. Hillary Clinton's career in public life is over, okay? And we now have a new president, and I don't dispute that. He is our president. He will be our president. But I do want to say something, and this is really important.
Okay.
There are people who are not white, straight Christian males who are truly terrified for their safety right now because there are people who support Donald Trump who are going around and are terrorizing people, and these reports are coming out all the time.
Oh, stop it! You know what, Coco? You know what? Donald Trump is not the president yet.
And you
as a supporter,
I'm not saying it's Donald Trump.
To come
you
out
as a
and calm them
supporter
down. It's
of
up
Donald
to Hillary
Trump
Clinton to come out
and
calm
Donald
them
Trump
down.
owe an obligation to this country to say something, to say that we need to be peaceful, and to say to your own people that we are all Americans and we deserve safety and peace. And you as a supporter owe it to this country to say it.
Election night, he said exactly that. He handled it with complete class and elegance.
People are being terrorized on the streets.
Has divided this country, Coco.
No.
People are being what? Then
forget it. Barack Obama is almost done. Barack Obama is almost done. Barack Obama is almost finished with his term. And what I'm telling you is, even if you don't believe it, there are people who are terrified of your supporters.
My supporters, Coco, let me ask you a question.
Donald Trump supporters and your supporters.
Coco,
and you need to denounce this now.
Coco, you need to stop. I spent 30 years in law enforcement. If someone is hurting you, you go to the police, you get them prosecuted, you go to jail.
Yes,
stop
in a
blaming
perfect
Donald
world,
Trump.
that is the way you do it.
Trump,
there is a leadership problem right now.
On the floor, Coco. There is not a question on the floor.
Donald Trump needs to denounce this now.
My question is this. Barack Obama is the one who divided this country, and this election was a referendum on his policies, on his divisiveness, and what he has done to this country.
Let me answer that.
And that is why we are in this mess.
Let me answer that.
Answer it.
President Obama never stood up at a rally and said, hit that person, get him out of here. He never said that he wanted to build a wall and
you know what? We need to build a wall.
A whole group of people. He never said he wanted to keep Muslims out of the country. Donald Trump has done all of that. Now, Donald Trump is the president of the United States.
You know why? Because some Americans are having their necks cut off by Muslim jihadists. So get over it.
That's not an issue.
I thought we were going to have a nice discussion.
Right now, there are Americans that are terrified. Do you understand that, Judge?
Yeah,
there are
they
Americans
may be terrified.
that are being terrorized on the streets.
Too. And you know what? Here's the bottom line. You got a problem? Call the police. All right?
There are swastikas being painted on dormitories. There are hijab. People are being threatened who are wearing hijabs.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, Coco Sudak. And next, Justice Goes to Hollywood. Two of Donald Trump's biggest celebrity supporters are standing by to talk about Coco. No, to talk about their reactions to election night and what they expect for a Trump presidency. Scott Baio and Stephen Baldwin are next. And later, I scoped out President-elect Donald Trump's new digs, the White House here in D.C. Justice rolls on in a moment.
This program